everybody, it's your pal JR again, and welcome to Assume I'm an Idiot, where we take complicated topics and finally dice them up so even a toddler can safely swallow them. I am the idiot.
Oh my god, he's an idiot.
And on this podcast, we'll explore everything from silly fun facts that everyone should know to bigger, more grown-up stuff like nature, science, finance, the universe, and so much more. Broken down without corporate talk or industry speak, so even a droop-eyed sack of ignorance like me can understand. So sit back, pop on your headphones, close your eyes, and take a fantastic journey into idiocy with yours truly as your pilot. Today is a big day for us because we're celebrating our 20th episode, which by all accounts is a big deal in the podcast world. I have no idea why, but people keep asking me, have you reached 20 episodes yet? So I'm guessing it means something? I don't know. But it also means we've all been working for 20 plus weeks straight without a break. So we're going to take a week off. To that end, I've cobbled together what I think are the best moments so far on Assume I'm an Idiot. We've already had some amazing guests, and we're slated to have some even more big-time smarty pants people on the show in the coming weeks. So stick with us if you want to hear some pretty cool content. Click follow, drop us a review, and all that jazz. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's written into us.
Emails. Oh, we get emails. We get your email every day. Love mail, hate mail, we get all types. Some are filled with compliments, but most are nasty gripes.
We've gotten some great fan mail and some even better hate mail. I truly do love both kinds because it means I'm reaching you in some way. So please keep writing.
Emails. Drop us a line today.
As a special thank you to all that listen to the show, I took excerpts of love and hate mail, threw it into Suno, and created a song just for y'all. Without further ado, please enjoy a song written by all of you, Idiot Fan Mail.
I think your podcast is one of the best out there today.
I would rather listen to a dentist drill on myself.
I love your no-nonsense approach to complicated topics.
You're exactly as dumb as you profess to be.
Your voice is so soothing, the perfect voice for my radio.
It sounds like you snorted a hive of angry bees.
Your guests are amazing, you get a really incredible people.
If it wasn't for your guests,
this show wouldn't exist. More of this, more of podcasts just like this.
you really think you're smart, but you're a buffoon.
Assume I'm an idiot is the perfect name for this show.
Because I assumed you were one the minute I heard you.
Do everyone a favor and save your dopey opinion.
Because nobody wants to hear your unhinged diatribes.
This is absolute genius.
A really great way to learn.
I get better advice from the kid at the lemonade stand.
I can't believe you're not the most popular show on the web.
You're proof anyone can do it.
Even if they shouldn't.
I just listened for 4 straight hours, and I can't wait to hear the rest.
It took 30 seconds to determine this was overproduced garbage.
Assume I'm an idiot is the perfect name for this show.
There's too much going on to even get what the topic is.
You are indeed
A not so intelligent person.
your guests are just being nice.
They think you suck too.
Information from a third grader is likely more reliable.
You think you're playing a character,
But it's very obvious
that you are absolutely
and unequivocally dumb.
You are absolutely
And unequivocally dumb.
astrophysicist Dr. Hakeem Olashei.
Dr. Olashei, what an incredible honor.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I meant for you. This has got to be exciting for you.
It is the peak of my life up to this point, I think.
You're darn tootin'. Okay, welcome. For everyone listening, the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. Correct, Doc?
Right.
So how did they calculate that when there weren't even, as far as I know, stopwatches at that time?
Yeah, so the very earliest guy to do it was someone named Olaf Romer. And so what he was doing is he was applying the Newton's laws of physics to the motions of Jupiter's moons.
Whoa. Time out. Okay, hold on. Hold on there. Let's hold on there, Brainiac. Let's back that one up a little bit. I just slow it down and explain it for a moron like me.
Yes,
so
sir.
I have a question then that comes out of that. And, if we're basing a lot of this on we know the size of the moon, I'm going to pretend to be smart for a second. So just hold on to buckle your belt.
Yeah.
Sometimes light is bent, right? So sometimes the moon looks absolutely enormous, even though it hasn't changed size or gotten any closer to the Earth. So maybe there's not a direct answer, but how did scientists prior, in years prior, absolutely lock in the size of the moon based on that? If light can bend and make the moon look bigger, how did they sort of account for that?
Man, look, humans are smart. So, if you look at history, the first person to try to make these measurements was a cat named Hipparchus back in ancient Greece.
Okay.
And then you have a cat named Eratosthenes who makes the first accurate measurement of the size of the Earth back in ancient Greece. So, once you understand triangles, so, when you look at the invention of mathematics, right, you have arithmetic first because they had to account for things they were counting, grain, horses, maybe not horses, grain, things they're trading, right? But then also they need to measure land and make buildings, so they invent geometry. But then you wanted to measure the sky, so you invent trigonometry, right? And that's based on triangles. And so just using the science of triangles, you can figure out a whole lot, man. And these ancient people did it and recognized they didn't have social media. I remember my life as a country boy in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. Life was slow.
Right.
You had a lot of time for deep thought. You had a lot of time to sit around and stare and calculate and wonder and ponder, And given this human brain, we just build one on top of the other. And now we're at a point where, if I want to go to an observatory and observe a particular star, I go to a star chart and I look up the coordinates of that star. But if I were to point directly at those coordinates, I wouldn't get the star, because if it's low to the horizon, for example, I have to calculate refraction in the air. Mm-hmm. So the atmosphere, just like when you have a spoon in a glass of water, it makes it look like it's broken off, right? It changes the direction of the light. The atmosphere does the same thing. So I have to do that calculation to get the actual pointing. But we're so good at this now that we all do it without even a second thought.
Sure.
It's kind of like how GPS has to take into account relativity to give you an accurate measurement on Earth. Oh, man, we are so advanced with this stuff now that we take it for granted. We just take it for granted.
Did I make myself sound smart by even asking that question? Because I feel pretty good about myself.
You absolutely did. And what you did is something that happens a lot when you get into thinking about this stuff, is that you discover what's already been discovered independently. You're like, oh, I'm on to something. And then you go tell someone, they're like, oh, yeah, that's Taylor series you just rediscovered, right? But the fact that you figured out what some great scientist figured out, that says something.
I'm gonna take that to my grave. Thank you so much.
The thing about things that have mass is that they move slowly through space and rapidly through time.
Okay.
Then there's stuff that has almost no mass or no mass, and it moves rapidly through space, stuff like light, gravitational waves, and almost not at all through time.
Whoa.
Right? And then you have space-time itself, okay? And so each one of these three things has an energy density.
Okay.
Whoa.
Hold it.
Remember, I have the intellect of a housefly. Let's back it up. Please explain for morons.
All right. So I forgot the original question.
Who's the idiot now?
JR, you tripping, man.
Since you've said so many amazing astounding, mind-blowing things, before I let you go,
Yes.
give me your favorite little-known, mind-blowing fact about the universe, or space, or Earth for that matter. Just something that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that.
Okay. So I would say this sometimes to my students just to, do a nerd brag, right? It's kind of like, certain jokes, right?
Right.
Like your mama jokes, blah, 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 right? But when you do them in the nerd realm. So, typically my research students, the phrase is something like, man, I'm so badass. I breathe the cores of dead stars, which is true.
Okay.
The oxygen that you're breathing was created in the core of a dead star. The carbon dioxide in our air, those carbon and oxygen molecules, they were created in the core of a long dead star. So yeah, man, I breathe dead star core.
So when someone says you're made of stars, it's absolutely true. We're made of stars.
You're made of stars, but you're also made in a Big Bang, right? Because, there's a lot of hydrogen in your body, and 3/4 of it was created, at that time when the cosmic microwave background radiation was created that we call hydrogen recombination. And some elements that are created just out in space where, an alpha particle slams into an element and breaks it apart, and now you got some lithium. Right.
Right. Well, see, now I had that.
It's many processes.
I had that perfect poetic ending, and then you just had to ruin it with the Big Bang. I was so good with the stars. It feels so
too simple, man. You're the one who brought in the granularity and the detail. I'm feeling your vibe.
All right, I'll own that. That's true.
All right.
Well,
Chief Science Officer, Dr. Hani Farid.
Well, it's hard to remember that before 2000, there wasn't much of an internet and there was no social media and we didn't have mobile devices and AI was a glimmer in our eyes, but we were still dealing with some issues of trust.
Sure.
And so I started thinking as this sort of lowly academic about how we can authenticate photographs. And honestly, it was a weird, niche, bespoke field for a long time. But what happened is we went from an analog world to a digital world. And went from a digital world to a social media, internet world. And then we have a mobile world and now AI world. And along the way, our ability to create and manipulate and distort the truth and spread those lies online has exploded.
Yeah.
So now I'm finally going to answer your question. What do I do? So what I do is I authenticate digital content.
Okay.
Whether it's an image, an audio, or a video. We work with news outlets, we work with law enforcement, we work with national security, we work with enterprise, we work with all forms of people who are trying to figure out what is going on in their lives or in the world, and how do you know that the image or the video that you are seeing is authentic or not.
Did you start off in a creative background, or was it always sort of on the analytical side?
That's a really good question. I immigrated to this country in the late 60s with my father and my mother and my brother. And my father was at Eastman Kodak for his whole career. And so we grew up with cameras and going into the darkroom and taking photographs and developing film, which was just magical if you've ever done that. It was magical.
Yeah.
And so I've always loved photography. And I think I was drawn to this problem, not because I was particularly creative or a good photographer, but because of that exposure to photography and that sense of wonderment that comes with photographs.
That pun intended, exposure to photography?
Yeah, sorry. I heard it as I was saying it. By the way, the young people are going to have to look up what that means. They don't know what that means.
Right.
No. So here's where things get messy and murky is, creating a video of a president or presidential candidate saying something they never said. I mean, that really falls squarely in the First Amendment, right? We should be able to criticize and make fun of and have commentary around public figures. But where does it cross the line of a disinformation campaign trying to smear a candidate and one that is simply satire or commentary? That's where things get really messy.
Yeah. Freaky.
Things like we see a lot of this now, so-called AI influencers, where they are not disclosing it's AI and they have huge followings and they're pushing people to stores to buy merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing now dozens and dozens of these AI influencers pop up. Like, is that okay? I mean, should people have the right to know that the Buddhist monk is not, in fact, a Buddhist monk, but it's a full-blown AI avatar? So I don't know. Like, to me, it's not clearly fraud, but I think it's deceptive. I think that's in a murky area. So here's sort of where I've landed on all of this, which is that when I go to the grocery store, I just came back from the grocery store. Every single piece of food has a nutrition label on it.
Yeah.
The government doesn't tell me don't eat barbecue potato chips, but it says if you eat them, we're going to tell you what you're eating.
Yeah.
And I think we should do the same thing with AI generated
I
content.
agree completely. Yeah.
I think we as consumers simply should know. And then we get to decide. Look, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with an AI influencer. You have every right to follow that influencer if you want to. But I think consumers should have a right to know, at least now in the early days of this. Look, maybe 10 years from now, this will sound like a ridiculous statement because nobody will care or everything will be AI or it won't matter. But right now, things are weird. And so when they're weird, let's just label things. This is easy.
I want to dig a little deeper into something we've already talked about when it comes to deep fakes. I think most people think of AI as simply image generation or video generation. And I think the thing they don't think about is the use of AI to replicate voices, right? And with very little source material, someone can get you to say whatever they want. Let's dig a little deeper into that.
Okay. So there's a couple different instantiations of deepfakes, which by the way, I don't think we ever defined. So let me just
what is that word you just said? Take it easy there, Professor. Let's just slow down.
No more than 3 syllables. Fine.
Yes.
There's many different versions of deepfakes.
Thank you.
The broad definition is AI generated or manipulated content, whether it's audio, image, or video.
Okay.
So having said that, the early days of deep fakes was Will Smith eating spaghetti or, elephant walking down the street wearing a top hat in Times Square.
Right.
And they were, just sort of generic things. I mean, Will Smith is not generic. He's identifiable.
Well, that's up for debate.
People are identifiable. But what has happened now is that with about 15 seconds of your voice and a single image of you, I can capture your likeness and I can insert you and your voice into an image or into a video or into an audio recording.
Yeah.
And so suddenly it's not just about creating a deep fake of event that didn't happen. It's about literally putting you into a scene, kicking puppies down the street.
So insane.
Yeah. And that sort of identity version of it is relatively new. It used to be that it was the Will Smiths, it was the Joe Bidens, the Donald Trumps of the world, people with large, massive digital footprints where you had lots and lots of images and lots of audio that you could train from, that you could impersonate them.
Yeah.
And suddenly it went from that to 15 seconds and one image.
Yeah.
And that changes the threat vector and the threat landscape dramatically.
Yeah. Dr. Fareed, 100% verified. He's the real guy. Pleasure having you on today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I love talking with you.
Great talking to you, but I have to say you have not verified who I am, just for your readers.
Don't worry. I dug into it. Let's not get crazy. I mean, I do my homework. Really great stuff. Really, really great stuff. I hope you'll come back on again when there are some new developments in the AI world, which I'm assuming happens on the daily.
Tomorrow.
You are now a friend of the show, which unfortunately means you're a friend with an idiot. I hope you can live with that. Can you? I mean, you're not answering me. What's a big you can't answer.
First of all, I think you and I both know you're not an idiot, but I like the shtick, JR.
Those are my imbecile mind powers convincing you of that. Another guest bamboozled.
Career counselor, Julie Willis.
Luckily, you don't need to rely on my puny brain to suss all these answers out, because joining me is someone who spent years expertly helping people navigate all of this. She's a rare species who combines actual business experience with clinical mental health training. She holds a master's degree, in mental health counseling, a BA in English, too. So I'm expecting her to be very articulate and also correct all my bad grammar. She's fully licensed to practice as a professional counselor. And before all that, she spent years as a top-level marketing executive at brands like Leo Burnett and the Discovery Channel, where I had the incredible honor to work with her. And if that doesn't convince you she's qualified to talk about this, she's a member of both the American Psychological Association and the National Career Development Association. A big, fat idiot welcome to a former colleague, a dear friend, and easily one of the smartest people I've met in my lifetime, the insanely awesome Julie Willis.
Well, JR, that was a really kind introduction. And the funny thing is, I just consider myself a fellow idiot.
Oh, how's that?
I do.
We're going to see if that holds true throughout this interview. So I'm counting on you to be the smart one here, and because, my brain doesn't work like other people's.
I just love to learn new things. And I think that's why I've made so many changes in my life. And that starts with some humility that says, I just don't understand this. So I'm going to dig in deeper and try to figure it out.
I love that point of view. It's so great to have you. We have been friends for if you can believe it, 22 years, something along those lines that we've known each other.
But who's counting? Who's counting?
Right. How about it? I've got grays on my beard and missing hairs on the top to prove it. But I'm going to treat you like any other guest, meaning if you start to get professorial, you start to use big fancy industry terms, you're going to get one of these. And that means slow your roll, go back, and please re-explain it for an idiot like me, okay?
Bring it.
Okay, got it.
One of the important questions that you were raising in your intro is like, what the heck is that? What is a coach? How are they credentialed?
Yeah.
So to kind of lay a baseline foundational understanding of what a counselor is versus a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the letters MALPC after somebody's name,
It's
that
fancy
means
already,
they are
yeah.
licensed. Yeah, that means they're a licensed professional counselor. That means they have a master's in counseling.
Okay.
That master's includes a 300-hour practicum in whatever specialization they've chosen.
What the heck is a practicum? A practicum?
A practicum means, unlike a classroom class, you are working on site in a clinical setting.
Okay, got it.
Ideally in the specialization you're going to pursue. So I worked at the Texas State University Career Counseling Office,
Okay.
where I worked with alumni, graduate students, and students figure out what they want to do with their lives. And so I did 300 hours as part of my master's, actually working with people in my chosen field.
Thank you for that explanation.
And then you're into the space of a real job coach.
Okay.
Now we're writing a resume. Now we're writing LinkedIn. Now we're starting to execute the job search because we've put our ladder on the right wall. We know what it is we're aiming at.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So that brings me to a question of what's always struck me funny that we ask, an 18-year-old to decide what they want to do for the next 45 years. Okay. So
Yep.
at 18, I couldn't decide what I wanted on my pizza. And yet we're asking these people how they want to spend their career. What are you majoring in? I don't know. Like, why should I know? And even my kids going to college, they both have changed their major halfway through.
Yep.
So it's ridiculous for us to say, what do you want to do with your career from here on out? How many of your clients or how much experience do you have with that younger generation? We had suggested to my son, maybe you should get a career counselor. He looked at us like we were speaking Klingon. He's like, what? Why? What's going on? So how many clients do you have in that age group that are looking to long-term, have the foresight to look long-term at what's going on in their life?
You know what's funny? The process isn't really any different whether you're dealing with a college student or a mid-career professional. You still start with the same kind of exploratory process.
Okay.
The difference is that someone with more experience just knows a little bit more about themselves and their work life.
Sometimes
they've had some. They've tried enough to know what they don't like.
Yeah.
They've tried enough to maybe, and they have more friends in professional spaces. Like they just have more lived experience that they can bring to bear. But the process is largely the same. Almost every career counselor will start with a set of assessments.
Sure.
This is a place where I can get super geeky. So let me know how deep you want me to go. But
deep.
Go deep. Wow.
Go deep.
Okay.
Let's talk grander and talk about DIYing your job search. We've been talking so far about how working with a career coach or a career counselor, and they might not necessarily help you with your job search, but more prepare you for your job search. But let's talk a little bit about DIYing your job search and how to go about that in I'm going to say proficient way. How's that?
One reason I'm so glad you asked me on this podcast is I actually don't need more clients. I'm pretty busy, but I wish that I could put myself out of a job. So what frustrates me is having to coach one person at a time instead of getting up on some soapbox and saying, hey, world, it's as simple as this. Just do this. Right?
Soapbox open. Go for it, lady.
Yeah. So I'm going to make this really simple. There are two reasons you would hire a career counselor. And if you deconstruct them, you could do these things yourself. So the first is, what are best practices in a job search?
Yeah.
That is a big question. We live in an age where you can find information about anything. There are way too many sources, right? So I'll tell a quick story. When we had our first kid, someone, I wish I could remember who so I could thank them. I don't remember who it was, said, there's so much information out there. People in the grocery store will stop and give you unsolicited advice about raising a baby.
Yeah.
Pick your pediatrician carefully and decide that you are only going to listen to your pediatrician. And I was
Okay.
so grateful we did that because suddenly all the articles and the books and the friends, and I just sort of drowned out the noise and listened to the one person, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say is find a source that you think is good. Sometimes getting outside perspective on someone who's really, really, really good at that can be helpful.
You actually, that brings up an interesting point. This is kind of a side rant. I'm sorry, but
Go.
can we just agree that job titles have gotten out of control in terms of what, like these fancy and weird and creative job titles? Yeah, I met someone recently whose title was Senior Customer Happiness Architect. And I was like, wow, what does that even mean? Well, it turns out that he is the face of the organization that answers the emails, like is consumer facing. And I'm like, okay, but what is that going to look like on your resume? How are you going to explain that? It's going to be always this sheepish answer like, well, actually I answered emails. But, we've taken these perfectly good jobs and we've turned them into Marvel superheroes all of a sudden. And if you had one piece of ready to go advice or good to go advice, I'm going to see what I did there. Good to go. Your 30-second piece of advice, someone just stops you and says, hey, what can you help me out with in terms of my career? You got one 30-second shot. What would you give them?
That's tough. I'd probably ask them a question first, which is, are you trying to figure out your long-term career goal or are you trying to get the next job?
You're copping out a little bit.
Am I copping out?
You're copping out a little bit. I think you're gonna have to. I'm gonna force you to give an answer. I'm on an elevator with you. I only got 30 seconds. I'm gonna get off on the next floor. Give me one piece of career advice that you can help me out with. Something that's just an in-pocket piece of advice.
Keep talking to people.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, gosh, it's hard to get that down to a simple.
Yeah.
Do you remember Minesweeper back in the day?
Damn straight
Okay.
I do.
So for those who are too young to know what Minesweeper is, it was this very early computer game in which you are sitting in a box on what looks like a piece of graph paper, and you have to pick the next box to move to. And when you pick that box, a whole number of boxes open. It could be 5, 10, 15, whatever. Somewhere hidden in a box is a bomb that if you hit the wrong box, the bomb's going to go off. I like to switch the metaphor MySpace and say, in Julie world, there's a box with a rainbow in it, not a bun, right? But the important part of the analogy is like, I guess here's what I would say. Here's my answer. Get out of your box.
Okay.
Because when we sit in a box by ourselves and we can't come up with better ideas and we feel paralyzed and we can't move, we simply don't have enough information.
Okay.
That's my core belief. You have to get out of your box. And it almost doesn't matter which box. Pick a box and step on it. And I promise other boxes will open and you will get unstuck.
That is a beautiful sentiment.
Estate and life planning expert, Tom West.
What I don't want to do is I don't want to fast forward to what happens after I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I want to sort of zero in on this whole space in our lives where what happens when we start running into some headwinds where we might be less able.
Got it.
So I don't think you got it wrong. It's just like, you just don't want to think ahead and figure like fast forward to what happens when I'm dead, when there's this whole lot of rest of my life that you got to figure where we're going to be aging through different chapters that we might need to think a little bit more discreetly about.
That's very eloquent, and it was a nice way of saying that I am an idiot, and I appreciate that very, very much. But
well, it sounds more like you're just anxious to get to the death part.
You have
like
no idea, pal.
Maybe pump the brakes a little bit on. There's time. You've got time.
If you're talking about me, you have no idea. I'm anxious to get to the death part.
But like, I would probably introduce that as an element of planning of I have to be ready for what comes up. So I'm using planning in a very general sense, beyond just the more prescriptive things that I do in my job.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said whoever wrote the line "Do what you love and the money will come" had a trust fund because it doesn't always.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I do what I love and I don't get crap for it.
Yeah, remember like the whole Malcolm Gladwell thing, piece where you get the 10,000 hours. Sorry. All right, hold it. Hold it.
Step back there. Calm down, Mr. Erudite. Let's see what.
Ooh, look at you, Erudite.
What's the Malcolm Gladwell thing?
Can you self buzzer? Because erudite is erudite is a strong word. All right. Thank you.
All right. How about ease back the throttle, Aristotle? How about that? We'll do that. And that's how do we approach the discomfort factor?
Oh, the ick factor.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
Why is this so uncomfortable to talk about? And how do you talk to your family about it? Either the retiree to the family or the family to retiree. I'm going to back up for a second and tell you an amusing story that was amusing to all of us, but not to the person we were talking about. And this is my whole family gathered around a table. My grandmother was older. She wasn't sick or dying or anything like that, but she was getting older. She's probably in her late 80s. And, you know, in a rare occasion that everybody from out of different cities had traveled home and were sitting around the table, and everybody starts talking about what they're going to get from grandma when she dies, arguing over, oh, well, I get the bracelet. Well, I get this. Well, you know, and I'm like, guys, she's sitting right there. She's right there. Like I mean, she's not dead. You know, this is the not dead yet, right? The old Monty Python bit. Like it's not dead yet.
Eric Idle over is the guy's shoulder, right? John Cleese's shoulder, right?
I'm not dead. Yeah. He says he's not dead. Yes, he is. I'm not. He's very ill. I'm getting better. No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
Some states make you assume your family's debt. Some states do not. So your mother's got, you know, 200 credit cards with $100,000 worth of debt on it. I don't know what it is, but that, you know, you're worried about, oh my gosh, I got to take over my mother's debt when she dies.
Oh, filial piety. Yeah, that's what it's called. Don't buzz me. That's not my word. That's a state's word.
Ugh, what a horrible word.
Actually, hold on.
Awful.
I think that I'm using the wrong word. Is that a filial piety? That's Asian people taking care of their old people. That's not. I think I got it. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, filial. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So what's the?
I feel so much smarter right now.
Filial responsibility.
There we go.
I was halfway there. Okay, so all right.
Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. What was that word again?
Filial responsibility. And
he doesn't understand.
Hey.
Explain as you would a child.
I'm just giving you the legal word. Right? It's just
I don't like the legal words. Make it so that an imbecile and a dimwit and a simpleton can understand.
Okay.
Retired State Supreme Court Justice Melissa Hart.
Well, you can relax, people, because you don't have to rely on a lummox like me to help decipher this. Joining us today, I have someone who is certain to make me look dumber than I already do. She's a former state Supreme Court justice from Colorado. What could we possibly have done right to deserve that, Stan? I don't get it. A former professor of law at the University of Colorado Law School. She was a trial attorney at the U.S. Department of Justice, a graduate of Harvard Law School, and I can go on and on for an hour just introducing her. Man, that is a resume, Stan. Everyone, please sit up straight and show some respect as I extend a big idiot welcome to Justice Melissa Hart.
Good morning. Thank you. That's more than gracious. I'm so glad to be able to be here with you.
Yes, this has to be incredibly exciting for you. Welcome. So incredibly honored to have you. Your Honor? I don't know. Do I still call you Your Honor? How do I address you properly?
You know, some people do call me that. I actually, even when I was a justice, I really just wanted people to call me Melissa. So you're comfortable
not in court, I would hope.
No, not in court.
Because I know that military generals and colonels, that's a rank for life. I would assume that's the same for a state Supreme Court justice, correct?
It sort of is, yeah.
Before we get going here, Stan, we have a former judge on the phone, okay? Behave. Actually, while I have you, Melissa, is his granola business legal?
Who's to say?
I mean, he makes it in his house. I don't know if he has any licenses. I'm fairly sure it's fit for human consumption. What's the legalities of all of that?
Well, that's, of course, going to depend on which state he's in and what the laws are there. And since I think you're in California, the answer is I don't know.
Oh, dear.
But I'm not going to get him in trouble today.
She doesn't even know. I mean, no.
Actually, I have a bunch of little law questions before we get going, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I have always had a question about the judges on TV being able to quote chapter and verse of precedent cases. like, what gives? Is that memorized? Like on Law and Order, for example, people versus Lipschitz, Your Honor, and then they state the case, and the judge always says, yes, but in that case, blah, blah, blah. I mean, do you have to memorize all that stuff?
Well, so those are obviously scripts. So the judges,
yes.
but in real life, yes, for judges,
wow.
The expectation is that you know the relevant law for the case you're hearing.
Wow.
So, it may not be every single case that's out there, but if you're coming in to hear a case, you need to know about the law relevant to the case you're hearing.
That's incredible. I don't have that kind of memory. I don't know how you do that. Also, here's another one. Can I use withdrawn in my everyday life? Because it feels like that would be very freeing to be able to say anything I want to people, then take it back. Withdrawn. You're a big idiot, Phil. Withdrawn. Can I just do that in my everyday life? Would that work?
Depends on who you're talking to, I think.
Well, it's Phil, and he deserves it. Okay, let's dig into the pros, the keep of the current electoral college system. Convince me that in this day and age, this implementation still serves its purpose.
So that's a hard question for you to ask me because I don't think it does.
Oh, okay. I'm on board. Let's go.
But I would say the benefits of it that are worth keeping in mind are probably the state control.
Okay.
So I think one of the things that is great about our election system and important about our election system and is about to become very relevant about our election system is that it's controlled at a state level.
Okay.
So the Electoral College gives that control to each state.
Okay.
Now, you could give control to each state in a different way, but this is the way we've been doing it. And it's really important that elections be controlled at the state level because if you have the potential for, what do I want to say? Well, I'll just use the word I want to say, corrupt behavior at the federal level.
I'll allow it.
The fact that the state governments control elections is really good.
Okay.
It's sort of a weird mechanism, but the idea for states that have adopted it is we would prefer to have the candidate who got the most votes be president.
But so explain to me like I'm six. You're talking about the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which really rolls off the tongue.
Yep,
I mean, you can't even shorten it to NIPVIC. They clearly don't know the rules of acronyms. So it's got to be catchy. But let's imagine you have complete freedom to do whatever you want with the Electoral College system.
Ooh.
First of all, is it even possible to change it, to repeal it, to make revisions to it? But you have complete freedom. What would you do?
Well, so I happen to be in favor of the National Popular Vote.
NIPVIC.
NIPVIC.
I'm going to keep saying it. It's going to catch
Did
on.
I say it
promise.
right that time?
You sure did.
I do tend to think that the person who wins the popular vote should be president, even when I disagree with who the National Popular Vote went for. So
sure, the people have spoken. I'm down with that. That's what democracy is.
I think that makes the most sense. I especially think so because the Electoral College came from a racist 3/5 compromise in our Constitution. And I sort of think doing away with all of the vestiges, all of the past history of slavery is a good idea.
Oh,
so
you and me both, yeah.
Once again, Dr. Hakeem Olashai.
So glad to have you back. Clearly you weren't scared off by my idiocy last time. We love return guests.
Well, I'm still a little scared, man. I'm not, but you know what? You're thinking, and I dig that. And I'm here to think with you.
Yeah. I don't know if my thinking goes anywhere, but yeah, you're right. I am thinking a lot. So Dr. Olashai's book, Why Do We Exist? The 9 Realms of the Universe That Make You Possible, is what we're talking about here. He talked about it a lot on the last episode. First of all, I'm publicly shaming you for not returning my book signed. I don't care how busy you are. You can say busy all you want.
No, it's at my box. I haven't been to my box.
Okay, I didn't tell you to have kids and travel the country and whatever. Yeah. I don't want to hear about it. So I had to download another copy. So your plan worked, and you bilked me for a second purchase. I will expect a check. I'll expect a check when my book finally comes back.
I'll send you a check.
I am pleased you have the good sense to bring a quality mic on the road with you. It helps me out a lot. Is that in case a freestyle battle breaks out somewhere?
I'm ready if it does,
Yeah.
but typically we don't use mics for that. And in fact, I don't want to be recorded, man, because my freestyles could get,
Listen, I know those science types can spit rhymes like nobody's business, so I'm glad. But you said, I think when we were talking before, you said, just in case the news calls you, and I'm going to ask you, what would they call you about? Like a comet streaming toward Earth, or?
Yeah, anytime there's any sort of space news, I get called. Okay. And not only that, sometimes it's weird things like, a ship has sunk. Can you tell us something technical? Well, because, I'm former Navy and I have been an engineer as well. So.
I don't think we talked about that last time. I didn't know you were former military.
Yeah. When I was a baby.
But stuff like story problems, right? Yeah. Skip those story problem crap altogether, right? It's stupid.
You're tripping, JR.
Listen to me. They're created solely for the purpose of confusing kids and making teachers laugh in the break room. Gary Larson, the great cartoonist, has 20 different comics about hell, and in each case, the bookcase is filled with books of math story problems. So even he was like, hell is math story problems. All right.
Well, let me let you finish before I go on my diatribe.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Well, here's the problem, man.
But what is your take on like something that's taught by a human versus I can go online, I can watch a lecture, and I can learn this course?
Again, it's a person by person thing.
Okay.
There is a value to being in a room with people, because the thing about learning STEM, and I say this, I put this in my syllabus when I was teaching physics. I would say you need to speak it. Doing problems, reading, that's not good enough.
Yep.
You need to speak it.
Yeah.
You need to speak it with someone. So you need to make yourself a little crew of 1, 2, 3 or more people.
Yeah.
So that you can talk to each other about this stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't speak it, you're not going to learn it the best you can.
Right.
A few people will, but for the vast majority of us, you need to be able to speak it.
First of all, I was worried that you were going to say you had an imaginary friend that was your partner the entire time. That was scaring me a little bit. And secondly, I talked to a doctor. You should put nothing in your syllabus. It's very dangerous. You probably won't be able to sit down for a whole month if you do. Anyway, okay. So
I'm going to use that.
So what it sounds like here, and I'm afraid to say it, what it sounds like here is that you and I kind of agree on this.
In a way, we do. In a way, we do.
I'm going to give one bell for in a way. I'll take that.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with you.
I can't believe it either. What has happened to you? You used to be such a smart man, and everything's just gone to hell in a handbasket.
I'm going to go get a cleanse.
Yeah. It's all the traveling, I think. Maybe you're jet lagged.
Yeah, something, man. I don't know what.
This is where I'm going to go off the rails for a second. I apologize, and I know this is getting long, but just stay with me. Because while we're talking about Mars, space, survival, and all the stuff that actually affects whether humans make it another few centuries, I keep hearing about these studies. You know the ones. We just figured out how long before the sun burns out. When will the universe experience heat death? What happens billions or trillions of years from now? And so on. Every time I hear that, my first reaction is, so what? I'm not being snarky, I'm genuinely asking. Why are we spending millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars, figuring out when the sun is going to die? Because let's be honest for about 10 seconds here. By the time we even get close to the sun burning out, there is no chance anything resembling humans, civilization, or even life as we understand it is still hanging out on the earth. 0.0 chance.
0.0.
That event is so far in the future that Earth itself probably won't exist in anything close to its current form. Continents will be gone, oceans will be gone. The planet might not even be recognizable as Earth. So who exactly is this information for? Who benefits from knowing this? To be clear, I am a huge believer in science. I am in no way an anti-science person. I'm not saying the science is wrong. I'm not saying the math isn't impressive. I'm saying, why is this a priority? Because over here in the present, on this planet, we're struggling with a bunch of stuff. Climate stability, energy consumption, food systems, disease. And meanwhile, someone's like, well, good news. We've narrowed down the sun's expiration date to a tighter window. Great. Super helpful. What do I do with that? And I know what the response is. It's about understanding the universe. It's fundamental science. It helps us understand our place in existence. Okay, fine, I get that. But at some point, doesn't it start to feel like we're answering questions that no one alive now or will ever be alive will experience, while punting on questions that actually matter right now? I mean, just recently, today, while I'm recording this, there's a big announcement circulating in the media that they found out that Jupiter is slightly smaller and flatter than scientists thought it was for decades, right? So whatever new study they did, it redefined the size and shape of Jupiter. And the head of the program, who was doing the research, put out a statement that, textbooks will need to be updated, which of course they will, and then said something along the lines of Jupiter was likely the first planet to form in our solar system, and by studying what happens inside of it, we can get closer to understanding how the solar system and how planets like ours came to be. Okay, I get it. What difference could it make now how our planet came to be? If we find out that it developed differently than we thought, does it change anything? Does it affect weather or fire or floods or famine or anything else about life today? And if so, prove it. Prove that info was worth the money. Because you know what else just happened today? 20,000 people around the world died of cancer. So tell me this science will actually lead to something like a cure for cancer. That would be, if you told me that, I'm like, great. Oh my God, that's incredible. But show me that this science is worth something to us. Look, even an idiot like me understands that one discovery leads to another discovery, leads to another discovery, and eventually that science adds up to something beneficial here on Earth. But show me that. Show me some proof. I mean, my tax money is paying for at least some of it. So is yours. And yes, there are other countries around the world doing the same kind of research. And if the primary reason to go to Mars, and I'm not saying that it is, but let's pretend that the primary reason we're going to Mars is for our own self-preservation. If we were to use some of that money to fix problems here on Earth, even just the top two, which in my opinion are poverty and the climate crisis, maybe we wouldn't have to go to Mars. If humanity doesn't figure out how to fix our current problems, then the sun burning out is the least of our concerns. I'm clearly not a scientist, but I'd be floored if you told me life on this planet would last another 10,000 years. In fact, unless we get our shit together, we'd be pushing it to say humans will be here in 1,000 years. So what will this info be used for? There's a generic answer we've all accepted, which is we can better understand the universe and where we came from and our beginnings and et cetera, but no one has ever explained how that makes a tangible impact on our lives or even how we attack the issues on our planet that I talked about that are pressing right now. It's neat. For a sci-fi nerd like me, it's kind of cool. But someone, please connect the dots for me on how this info could possibly help us out. How does this connect to Mars, you ask? Well, if the primary reason for going to Mars is to ensure we have an escape plan when everything goes to shit, we're way behind schedule. Yes, we can probably get people to Mars in the next few decades, but making it suitable for habitation, figuring out how to get 8 to 9 billion people there, then create a working society will take hundreds of years, regardless of the pace of technology. So in short, when the end is drawing near for our planet, will we even have time to react? In my dopey opinion, Mars isn't about curiosity for curiosity's sake. Mars is about survival, redundancy, future-proofing. It's the difference between asking what happens at the end of everything versus how do we make sure there is a future? One of those feels slightly more urgent. And I personally think the budget for this stuff should be redirected to making sure we have a future here for as long as humanly possible, pun intended.
Before we go, can we get Stan to send me some granola? Is that cool?
Hey, did you hear that, Stan?
I wasn't listening. I'm playing Candy Crush.
He wants some of your dopey granola.
I went to Stan's granola site. What is
sake.
Tarragon Midnight Granola?
You know,
It's
I'm going to...
Tarragon granola, and I make it only at midnight.
I'm going to warn you right now.
Every time I make it right at midnight, it's perfect.
Justice, Hart, you should just stay away from this altogether.
Anytime I make it before or after, it tastes like dog crap.
I'm not recommending that to him. Don't get that.
My wife would kill me if I didn't get some samples from you. So can you just send me some, please, so she stops harassing me?
Stan?
I'm working on some now.
How long?
Quality takes time.
Do you need like a bigger pan or something? I don't understand that you're making these small...
I don't cook it in a pan. It's cave-aged.
Okay. You have a reputation to uphold, and I don't want you getting involved in the whole thing.
Does she really know what she's talking about?
Yeah. She's a former judge.
Former judge.
May I ask you, what does cave aged mean?
Okay.
Isn't that self-explanatory?
I don't know.
Reading the word like cave, and I'm like, it's not. They don't. When they say cave, they don't mean like cave, like where you hide.
Well, what he calls a cave is probably about the size of a dinner plate, first and foremost. That's why his never in stock. His batches are tiny.
I have a follow-up question. I tried to ship to my mother-in-law, and she's in Idaho. Why is there seems to be like 7 states that you can't ship to for federal I don't understand why.
Bob, first of all, there's CBD oil, which I don't have a problem with that he's got CBD oil in
fine,
it. But he puts so much, it's like the dogs smell the boxes. You know what I'm saying?
But granola inherently has a crunch to it, right?
Not his.
This stuff doesn't sound super crunchy.
It's like bubblegum. It's bubblegum granola.
Do you understand why that's a little unappetizing when I'm going for a granola sort of texture?
Julie, no more plugs. Don't say the name of the thing again. Okay.
Okay. Well, if I may, as a therapist, I'm just going to point out, as a parting thought for you, JR, someone I love and care about, that I'm sensing a little bit of codependency here.
Yeah.
Between you and Stan, this might be something you need to explore.
Maybe we need to go into couples therapy for it. Maybe we do.
What do you want for dinner tonight, JR?
Just
Maybe
a thought.
I should put aside my fear of couples therapy.
Have your
Just a thought.
went to high school, and then I went to a prestigious university, DeVry.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, DeVry.
Yeah. And I got my certificate, and that made me an engineer.
Okay, that's what you studied at DeVry, was an audio engineer.
No, I learned how to drive a train.
That does it for this time. Appreciate you listening. Thanks a million for joining our silly little sideshow, and I hope you stick around for more coming up after our short break. Love the show? Hate the show? Let us know about it at hello@rufftumblemedia.com. That's hello@rufftumblemedia.com. Also, click the follow button and drop us a review. It really helps us out. Join me for another upcoming episode of Assume I'm an Idiot. I'm your pal JR. Catch you again soon.